welcome to the
Ring. On this program, we look at issues at the grassroots and how they affect you and your community. We aim to extract these issues and look for change, real change this time. It's my pleasure to welcome you. I'm Wemimo Adewuni, and today we'll be looking at water pollution in Barua, that's at Ikpaja, your boy LCDA in Lagos. After this break, I'll introduce my panelists and we'll go into the stories. Stay with us. Now, today we're looking at the problem caused by one of these pipelines running through Lagos, running from Atlas Cove to Mosimi and Ejigbo in Lagos State. I visited that area, that's Barua community in Lagos, and we packaged a little documentary. I'll let you watch that, and when we return again, then the panelists will join me to analyze the issues.
"22 years. Barua community has suffered from the water pollution caused by NNPC pipelines.
I happen to be the chairman of Zone 3, part of Peace Estate. Peace Estate is located in Barua here. We were just sleeping in the house around maybe 6 to 6 or thereabout. We just had the sand, a very horrible sand. We have some people here. They call themselves security to the NNPC. They are here. They are there. And the incident always happens somewhere here. A lot of water we can't drink in this area. We buy water. Even to bath. Hey, it's war.
When the water pollution got to the place, we didn't know on time that it was, we were looking at Bale's area to pipeline, not knowing that it has got to our place. We produced for 1 year, 2 years without getting spoiled, started deteriorating in less than 2 weeks. That's where these multinationals like Lever Brothers, HAC World, Wiggins Tip, and all the multinationals stopped buying our products.
Check-up, for treatment and so on. So we cannot say at times we spend 60,000, 80, more than that at times. We have spent everything. That is why we are like as we are now. And we cannot talk.
You're welcome back to the ring. And as you saw in that documentary, I mean, that's practically sums up what we're talking about today. But I have people here with me in the studio, some of whom you've seen in that documentary. I have here with me Reverend Dr. J. Ogungbangbe, is the chairman, Barua Development Association. I also have here with me Mr. Adedeji Omojowo, the chairman, Zone 3, Peace Estate in Barua. Here I have Dr. Oko Oteri. He's a consultant geologist and also the MD Akute Georesource Limited. You're all welcome. Now we have a seat here reserved for the NNPC, and that's because I stayed in touch with members, some workers of the PPMC, NNPC, particularly with Mr. Obina Otu, who is a supervisor of pipeline for PPMC. Till yesterday night, we were in discussions and I expected them to be here to look at this issue. Unfortunately, this morning he told me he will not be available. And so we go ahead with the conversation. Also here with me, I must acknowledge the Bale of Barua community. High Chief Khalid Barua is here with other members of the community to x-ray these issues. So let's start off. I mean, that documentary gave us a glimpse of what's going on in Barua. But Reverend Ogungbangbe, can you tell us, when is this problem, the water pollution in Barua, when exactly did it start?
The actual time it started is 1996. And when it started in 1996, it actually emanated from one of the proprietors of the nearby school. It was pre-aged by then, but now it's Honeywell. So the woman came up and said, our water is polluted. What might have caused this? We just told her, go and start pumping out. So after pumping out for about a week, and there was no stoppage, we discarded the whole thing, and she also kept quiet about it. But just a few weeks later, another person nearby at the other side of the pipeline then came, Johnson, said, his water is also polluted. We have to take it to Lagos State Water Corporation to find out the authenticity of our suspicion.
Okay. It seems Bale wants to say something about this issue.
Oh, yes.
Please, could you give the mic to him, sir?
What I want to correct that story is that we wrote to them, definitely it was in 1998 before we wrote to them, and it took them almost about a year before they replied that their matter is waiting, they are waiting for attention. And they came to us.
That is, you wrote to the NNPC, and it took them a year to reply your letter.
So we have confirmed that it's polluted with some chemical, which is from the NNPC.
Okay, thank you so much, Bale. Now, after the issue was discovered and you wrote a letter to NNPC, I mean, the first person who discovered this issue was a school and then a neighboring compound. Yes. Within that time and the next few years, how many houses around that area were affected by the water pollution?
So many houses were affected within 2-3 months because it was moving through a particular aquifer in the ground.
Does this mean their own houses are closer to the pipeline?
Yes, it's closer to the pipeline. That is why they were able to get it faster than we that were a bit inside. So
1996 to 2018, that's 22 years.
Yes.
What's the extent of the damage today?
Serious damage. The whole environment, starting from the groundwater to the surface water to the atmosphere itself, everything got polluted. The pollution that people never knew or did not occur to people as pollution. So they continue to drink it, they continue to use it as usual, not knowing that they were taking poison.
Okay, let me
They
switch.
started to fall sick, and many died.
Let me switch this a bit. So here I have a document compiled by the community. It's called the Compendium of Activities of Barua Community on Water Pollution from 1996 to 2018 by the PPMC. And this contains all the letters and documents passed by the PPMC and NNPC with the community over the past 22 years. Dr. Oteri, you did some work on the Barua area. Who commissioned you to do this project?
Thank you very much. Around 2000, when there were a lot of publications between 1997 to 2000 on this Barua case as enlisted in that document, this brought it into the open. And I got in contact with NNPC, and we came into a contract to carry out a study to delineate the polluted area, that is, demarcate the area that is polluted, determine the source, and provide solutions to solving it.
Did you contact the NNPC or did the NNPC contact you? Which way did it go?
Well, oil pollution, groundwater pollution by oil is not, didn't start at Barua. It started long ago in the world, and it started long ago in Nigeria. There have been previous cases like Kaduna, Sherada, in Kano, and many others.
You were already in partnership with the NNPC.
Exactly.
Okay, so here again is the compilation of Dr. Oteri's findings, Akute Resource Limited. It starts with the hydrogeological survey of the oil seepage and groundwater pollution in Barua community, Ikpaja, Alimosho LG of Lagos State. This is the final report, main text, submitted by Akute Geo Resource Limited, 2015. It's also 2005, yes. It's also very detailed with graphs and pictures. I mean, running through what the problem is and what the possible solutions might be. So I feel quite concerned. I mean, if you discovered this as at 2005, how many hectares would you, assume is not being affected by this pollution?
Well, it depends on certain factors. The factor, one of them is if there is still leakage. If there is still leakage, then the area will increase. I mean, if the source is still leaking, more oil is being added, then the area will expand. But if the source is demobilized, if it's no more leaking, then in the ground there is natural attenuation.
That means the soil can heal itself.
The soil. It will be attenuated little by little, but the rate is low. And this is why in a cleanup remediation, you add other things like, what was described by Professor Lars group.
So this year, the Professor Lars team carried out some work in that area again. And here in this compendium, I have some of the results of their findings in that area too, which includes remediation and how it could be done. But in the process, as he explained at that workshop, he mentioned that after remediating a particular well, they discovered that the petrol came back in, which means that there is continuous leakage of petrol till today. And if the contamination continues, it means that we have a wider scope of areas being affected by the water. We have representatives of the community here, and they've told me that they are still very much being affected by the water. So if this is ongoing, who do we hold responsible for this continued water contamination? And remember that in Barua, as you saw in that documentary, we have about 65,000 people, over 65,000 people, including women and children. In fact, when I went there, I saw children who were fetching this water, and bathing with it right there at the tap, some of the water entering their mouth. I mean, they did not know what they were doing, but this is very alarming because of the effect of continuous usage of petrol and continuous inhaling of the smell, you should smell this water. I mean, I tried it and the smell is horrible. So how has Barua community been able to fare for so long, for 22 years? And how come the NNPC has been able to turn a deaf ear to their cries for 22 years? We'll continue this conversation after a break. You're welcome back to The Ring, and now it's just about getting a bit more heated. Unfortunately, as I told you in the first round, we do not have representatives of the PPMC and NPC here with us. Let me say again that I was in touch with Mr. Obina Otu, who is the supervisor of pipelines for PPMC, till yesterday night. And this morning he called to say that he could not come unless we write another letter. We write a letter to them today, which of course, you know, cannot happen. So we needed this to go on. We hope the NNPC will give us their reply on this. But here on this page, this is a letter from the Senate, and it's from the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources. And this mentioned here that the funds for the project by the NNPC to assess the extent of damage and the scope of repairs is in the budget. So we're coming to ask how these monies were spent and if the community really felt the impact of the money released by the Senate to the NNPC to resolve this issue. So now let me move over to Mr. Adedeji Omojowo. He is the chairman, Zone 3 of Peace Estate. Now, the water pollution in Barua comes all the way from, you know, up Barua, from Gates down into Peace Estate. And one of the things NNPC is alleging is vandalism. I mean, running through these, pages, I can see NNPC over and over again emphasizing that the problem is caused by vandalism. Now, we tried, as you saw in that documentary, to look for the source of the vandalism, and it's right in your domain. So, tell me why we should not believe the NNPC that vandalism is the cause of all their problems.
Thank you very much, Wemi. You see, I wouldn't expect them to be straightforward because, sincerely speaking, we have been calling. Where
you've been calling who?
We call people and the NNPC, the PPR, whatever they call themselves. I don't want to, yes, PPMC. You see, if they say it is vandalism, is the one happening in Ajelangwa vandalism? Is the one happening at Honeyland vandalism? You understand me? Are you telling me someone is is tampering with the pipe? Yeah, you know. Now, when it is flowing from Ajelangwa to Bale House to all those places to Progress Estate, there are points where we see these products on the water. I'm telling you that.
And some human beings are drinking that water.
You can imagine because they don't know what they are doing because they don't know. Maybe they don't have the money to buy. You should understand the kind of situation they might be. What I'm trying to, my own point is, when we now call them, we invited them, because if they are saying it's vandalization, let's come to the point now. They say they put some security men on that axis. Are you there, ma'am? In your estate? In my estate, in Progress Estate, before Diamond Estate. They have men they call their security. They are there. You understand? And if those men are there,
are they from the police? What kind of men?
NNPC security or whatever. I don't know who. How we are laymen as far as that. But so now tell me, if you have security men in not more than 1 kilometer to each other, tell me if they say it is vandalization. That means they are the one doing it. I am talking about the pipes there are weak. They are bad. Because if this is vandalism, I know by now they should have taken care of those points, and they have security men there who will now go where you have a policeman, where you have a military man. At a particular time, they sent army contractor. They came with their graders. They did They cleared the area. We even supported them one way or the other so that they can clear, so that water will not come, the fuel will not come and kill us overnight. When they did their work, they left. You understand me? Not quite 1 week. When the water comes, what they did was they said they are doing pegging. I have not heard of pegging. It's their line. I don't know any power. They will just bring what do you call it, bamboo or whatever. They'll go to that particular spot. They'll put it there. They'll knock it. Anytime there is fire, the spot is visible.
Let me come to the community. Those of you who stay here, let's start with Pa Oyewole, as he likes to be called. Could you tell us what your experience has been? You have some personal experiences about this water pollution in Barua.
My personal experience on it was that when the thing started in my place, I was still using the water. But I had some itches whenever I take bath. And to the extent that I had to contact so many laboratories, what do they call it, chemists, to get cure for it, but no cure was coming. Until somebody told me, advised me that, look, I should be mindful of what I take, my food intake, my bath, and every other thing. I said there was nothing I did. But after some time, I just observed that maybe it could have been that water. Immediately I stopped bathing with that water. You won't believe it. The issue stopped.
So I called my wife one day. I said, did you observe something from this our well? This is a very deep well. And we put rings. He said, he observed that this thing, the water is smelling too. Okay, one of my uncle's children, that one was reading chemistry, University of Ife. So he came on holiday with me. Immediately he tasted the water. I said, that Baba, you are drinking petrol. He started to blow their chemistry grammar. That was the time I knew we are posting ourselves. I had to run to, I ran to this Oga Ubangbe. I said, I observed something. I told him. He said it's not new. That almost every place we are in problems. I went to Ababa, I did the same thing. Since that time, I've been buying water to drink. I'm a pensioner. I spend almost 15,000 to 20,000 naira to buy water every month. How much is my pay? You help me ask NNPC. The type of offense we have committed in Barua to warrant this type of punishment, to wipe us out. Please help us ask them.
Well, that's a good question to ask. I mean, well, Professor, okay, yes, I'll get to you right after, Professor.
I just want to say two things. One, this is a photograph we took recently, the top one in Abulegba. And if you look at it, you will see a place here. This was where the yellow one here is where there was the fire some years ago. This is a pipeline route. This yellow peg is a fresh pit dug for vandalization. So there's vandalization. But like I've said before, there is a lot of corrosion and leakages from sources pertaining to the pipeline. My own recommendations in this thing, I have a number. Number one, the water supply to Barua. I believe that the government, that is Lagos State government, whoever pays, I don't know, should connect this area to the public water supply. You know, there's public line coming from Iju to town.
So all these questions, where are the monies? Yes, what's happening to the pipelines? What is happening to Peace Estate? Why are these leaking pipelines not being fixed? Why is vandalism, if there is vandalism, not being stopped in these areas? Why are the lives of people being put at risk, children and women inclusive. That's why we wrap up on The Ring today. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll have more of this. And if you have an issue in your community you would like us to look into, please send us an email at theringonline@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media, on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at The Ring Online. I am Wemimo Adewuni. Keep talking about your issues. We hope that someday we would have some resolutions. Join us again next time. Bye-bye.